ABC 10 News starts now with breaking news.
Our breaking news begins out of Imperial County. A major crash killing at least 15 people and injuring another dozen. We want to show you some live images there from above, and you can see they are still investigating exactly what happened here. We're waiting for another update from officials shortly. Now, we have learned that doctors from UC San Diego are also there helping staff at one of the local hospitals. Thank you for joining us. I'm Virginia Cha. Here is what else we know so far. So officials say there were 27 passengers in a Ford SUV, which collided with a big rig that was hauling gravel about 6:30 this morning. 14 people died at the scene. A 15th person died shortly after arriving at a local hospital there. Several people transported by helicopter from that scene. All of the injured are being treated at nearby facilities. There are different hospitals that are treating them right now. Doctors at the El Centro Regional Medical Center describe this as a major crash, and they say they are doing what they can to help the victims.
The patients are, of course, going through a little bit of a difficult time. As you can imagine, that this was a major accident, and we are taking care of them in the emergency room department.
Now, that's a news conference a couple of hours ago from the hospital where they updated us on the patients. Here's a look at where this accident happened. The CHP says that SUV was traveling west on a surface street, Norrish Road, when it crossed onto Highway 115. They say that is where it drove right onto the path of the big rig, which was going north. The area is about 120 miles east of San Diego, about 10 miles north of the U.S.-Mexico border. Now, again, we are waiting to get an update from first responders. We expect that to happen momentarily. We, of course, will carry that live for you so that you can be updated on everything they know so far. The investigation just starting. So again, that happened about 6:30 this morning. The news conference from the hospital happened right around 9 this morning. So they are still scrambling to try to figure out what exactly happened here and who these people are. Again, at least 15 people killed, and we're showing you live aerials of that scene where you can see first responders there, and you can see the big rig right there toward the top, still at that scene, basically broadsided the Ford SUV that was crossing from a surface street onto Highway 115. So there's going to be a lot of questions here as to exactly what happened, but the CHP characterized it as though the SUV is the one that headed right into the path of that big crash. You're looking at the microphone stands there that are set up for first responders as we wait for them to update what happened this morning. A terrible, terrible crash situation. And 27 people in one vehicle. The question also is why there were so many people in that Ford SUV. So as soon as that news conference begins, we will take you there live so you can hear the latest update. And we also will continue to track this story and stay on top of the latest updates for you. We do have a crew on the way. We're going to be checking in with them for some more details in the next half hour. In the meantime, you can also stay on top of this story and get updates through our free 10 News app. Well, a possible lifeline for San Diegans struggling to pay rent during this pandemic. $100 million in rental assistance is now available. Applications open today. The program will not only help keep families in their homes, but it can also help them pay back utility bills. All areas of the county can qualify for this except for the cities of Chula Vista and San Diego because they have their own specific programs. Some other qualifications for the county application include a person must be at risk of homelessness or housing instability. They must not be receiving other forms of housing subsidies, and they must earn less than 80% of the area's median income. Applications are on the county website. Well, more students are returning to campus this week as local districts resume in-person learning options. Now, this is coming just as the state is offering financial incentives to get students back into classrooms. ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell shows us the impact that will have on schools that are already open.
Grossmont Union High School District is one of 2 districts in our area that will bring students back on campus this week. We spoke with the superintendent about their decision to move forward with this next phase. Tuesday morning, students were seen making their way back onto the campus of El Cajon Valley High. Grossmont Union High School District is moving into level 3 of their reopening plan. In this blended model, the students who choose to return to campus will be at school 2 days per week. The rest of the time, they'll continue with distance learning. Superintendent Teresa Kemper talks about their decision.
And now that public health conditions are improving, and we see hope on the horizon with vaccines now being available for teachers, we said it's time.
Vista Middle Schools will also return to campus this week with in-person learning 1 day per week. All of this comes as the state announces a financial incentive to get students back to school. Governor Newsom says they have set aside $6.6 billion that will be distributed to districts that resume in-person learning. Superintendent Kemper says this didn't have any impact on their decision to move forward with their reopening plan.
We are already open for in-person instruction, so there's nothing additional that we have to do to qualify for that incentive money. So we're very thankful for that.
Here are the requirements for the other schools. Districts that are in the purple tier must return to in-person learning for students up to 2nd grade. Districts in the red tier must get all elementary kids back in class, plus 1 grade in middle and 1 in high school. All of this must be done by March 31st. Before this announcement was made, the county's largest school district, San Diego Unified, has said they will return to school on April 12th. It's unclear if this incentive will have any impact on the schedule. Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.
Well, today we expect to learn more from the governor about several counties that could be moved to a less restrictive tier. It is not clear yet if San Diego will be one of them. Our county is still in the purple tier, the state's most restrictive. Here's a quick look at the latest information on cases in San Diego. You can see 269 new cases reported from the last day of February. The local numbers have steadily declined over the last several weeks. On January 30th, for example, nearly 1,300 cases were reported. Right now, the first of the new Johnson & Johnson vaccine, those doses are making their way across the country. The company is facing a challenge with supplies as it works to catch up with Pfizer and Moderna. But now the White House is announcing a partnership to help Johnson & Johnson with production, getting Merck & Company on board to join the manufacturing process. That is as top health experts warn people to remain vigilant amid declining cases.
Despite progress being made curbing COVID-19 cases and deaths, top health officials warn there's still cause for concern.
This level of cases with variants spreading, we stand to completely lose the hard-earned ground we have gained.
Even after 6 weeks of cases on the decline and a third vaccine from Johnson & Johnson now in the fold, the director for the Center for Disease Control and Prevention is urging Americans to stay vigilant, warning about a possible fourth wave as some states ease COVID restrictions. In Florida, crowds flocking to beaches for spring break.
Last year, because of COVID, I didn't really go anywhere, so I was like, we're going somewhere now.
In response, Miami Beach is canceling all official spring break events, while leaders across South Florida are encouraging mask wearing, social distancing, banning alcohol, and increasing police presence. Massachusetts lifting indoor dining limits and reopening gyms, concert halls, theaters, and indoor recreational facilities to 50% capacity.
The good news here is having another effective vaccine should mean a big increase in the number of vaccines that are available.
South Carolina also easing COVID limitations.
Our economy is open. We never closed down.
While Arkansas and Texas consider repealing their mask mandates in the coming weeks. The rollback of strict pandemic-related measures comes as the U.S. is still seeing nearly 70,000 cases a day. 25-year-old Jason Barbosa was in a coma for 6 weeks and nearly lost his life. His doctor says his case should serve as a reminder.
Young people need to take this very seriously also. Every day in our intensive care unit, people are dying.
About 4 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson one-shot vaccine have already been shipped out, and so far about 50 million Americans have received one of the 2-dose shots from Moderna and Pfizer. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Washington.
A frightening moment. You just saw a firefighter briefly covered in flames as he worked to put out a fire overnight. Good news is he is okay. Unfortunately, that fire left extensive damage to a family's home and their cars. Sky 10 was over that scene earlier this morning. ABC 10 News anchor Mary McKenzie has a look at what happened.
Thankfully, that firefighter in the video is okay, but we're getting a better look at the home now and the devastation that happened overnight. The homeowner believing that 2/3 of the home was damaged, but it certainly looks like it is a total loss this morning. I want to get to some video that he shared with us, the man who lives here, who got his family out, then shot this video this morning and gave it to our breaking news tracker. Shows just how huge this fire, the flames were before crews arrived. We talked to Stephen Anderson. He first woke up to those loud noises about 12:30 this morning. We're on Avalar Way in Ramona. And he told our breaking news tracker, again, they believe the home is a total loss. He thinks it started in the garage or the side of the house where he was in bed last night. He described what he saw and what he did to get his family out safely in just the few moments they had. Firefighters, when they arrived, had to battle this house fire for a good 45 minutes. It also burned all 3 of the family cars. At one point, that very dramatic scene as a firefighter himself became covered in flames, overtaken by them, but thankfully it was just for a brief moment. Here's what Anderson had to say about getting his parents and his nephew out of the house just in time.
It was completely red, and the garage side of the house was already fully engulfed.
And let me show you that once again, at that point when the firefighter was battling, one of the cars was on fire, the fuel leaking and causing those huge flames that overtook that firefighter as he was trying to put it out. Very dramatic, but again, he was not hurt. And maybe this happens more than we realize, but it certainly does show you the risk these firefighters face every day and just how important their gear is. But Anderson, again, the man who lives here, he told our breaking news tracker, CAL FIRE says this may have been electrical. That's what they told him, but there's no official word on that yet this morning, and investigators will have to work to determine the cause. In Ramona, Mary McKenzie, ABC 10 News.
Some new details about a deadly crash along the 8 overnight. It happened just before 3 this morning in El Cajon. The CHP says a driver lost control of her car and hit the center divider. They say she got out of her car and stood next to it. That's when the CHP says an approaching car struck her car, which then struck her, killing her. The other driver has major injuries but is expected to survive. The circumstances of that initial crash are still under investigation.